Okay, tonight, half hour to health. It's one more on thyroid, but it's not on thyroid. This is going to be the source of 97% of all diseases. Now, this is important when you look at this. You got to learn a couple of terms. pH. pH is like the level of acid to base. The lower that you get, like more acidic, it's going to be down to like the 1 to 2 level. The more alkaline is going to be like 9. And so some acids are so bad that you can actually pour it on your skin and it'll burn through the bone. Okay, so the more acidic, the more dangerous. Even the more alkaline, the more dangerous. And then when we look at oxidation, this is how your body breaks down cells. It's the same thing as rust. Like if you ever slice an apple, how it starts to turn brown, that's oxidization, okay, where the tissue is actually breaking down. Then we have metabolism, okay, and this is the buildup and breakdown of different tissues. What's interesting, there's two parts, breakdown and buildup, catabolism and anabolism, and phytonutrients, and this is something because if you look at, we're exposed to a lot of different conditions, okay, such as degeneration, diseases, bacteria, viruses. In all our talks, you find out that viruses and bacteria don't cause disease. It's a weakened immune system. When you think about phytonutrients, when we talk about different colored plants, these plants have survived millions of years. And they develop their colors and their flavors and their textures by fighting different viruses and bacteria. So phytonutrients, those are in plants. But now cortisol is the most amazing thing. This is an antioxidant, an anti-inflammatory, and, okay, it regulates pH. So if you have an acidic environment, your adrenals are going to put out this anti-inflammatory antioxidant, and it raises pH from an acidic level into more alkaline. They say, because a lot of these hormones, we're not sure how they actually work. We know they're high or low in some conditions or diseases. So it's interesting. The theory is that it's raising the pH to help immune processes, because we know it's involved in the immune system. Now, this is the sickest society the world's ever seen. I know I've said that before, but we really have to stop and correct this problem. These are the top selling drugs in America. So, well, when we go back to this, pH, oxidation, this is how your body lives and breathes. Now, your body, if you're in an acidic environment, like let's say let's say for the heck of it, we ate a standard American diet, which is fast food, soda pop, processed foods, packaged foods, lots of canola oil. Let's say our government was really messing up and they allowed genetically modified foods in our foods. I mean, just think that they're just gone crazy, okay? And then maybe, you know, hormones and the animal products. Okay, so that would create massive acid or acidic bodies. Now, what's interesting, look at the top-selling drug up there. It's cholesterol. So that means our population is chronic high cholesterol. Now, cholesterol is not bad. It doesn't clog arteries. I mean, we've done enough, you know, videos on those and even wrote a book about it. So when you look at it, high cholesterol means there's high tissue damage or high stress or acidic environments. So this means, wait a second, so if we're taking in food that's actually damaging our tissue, that's causing acidic, what are the other top-selling drugs? Okay. Oh, an antacid. Okay, good. So antacid, that comes from poor digestion, which means we're getting toxic food products. It's not from too much acid, it's just a moneymaker. A blood thinner. That's interesting. Does blood clot in the arteries? No, blood does clump in the arteries. Okay, so this is a foolish drug. So we have a society that has high cholesterol, poor digestion, and the blood vessels are getting so sticky they're actually gluing together in the arteries. Okay, so we're taking chemicals for that. So when you start looking at this, $307 billion. Wow, thank goodness we have pharmaceutical products. Or when we look at this fella, Dr. Alan Ross. GlaxoSmithKline is one of the biggest chemical companies in the world. And I say chemical, not pharmacy, because what are pharmaceutical products? They're patentable chemicals that have never been seen in the human body, never been seen on the planet, and it's so unique from this chemical company that it's introduced to you. Well, how effective are they? Dr. Alan Ross, I love this, worldwide vice president of genetics at GlaxoSmithKline. And he's commenting because they're having a lot of problems with the pharmaceutical products. And he made this comment, the vast majority of drugs, more than 90%, work in only 30 to 50% of the people. Wait a second. I get confused here. So the vast majority of drugs, and I love this quote from him, I wouldn't say that most drugs don't work. I would say that most drugs work in 30% of the people. Drugs out there on the market work, but they don't work in everybody. Okay, $307 billion spent on drugs that work less than half of the time. To correct physiology of a body that's brilliant. Okay, I've got a big challenge of that. So let's look at oxidation and thyroid function. When we look at this, okay, remember, cortisol is secreted from the adrenals. Cortisol is secreted to balance pH. It's like an antioxidant as well. And if cortisol is high, there's a host of diseases. So we're kind of building up here. Now, diet soda has a pH of between 2.5 to 4. Okay, depends on the type of diet product. 46 gallons a year of soda is drunk by the average American. Now, I don't drink Coca-Cola or soda or Pepsi or Dr. Pepper. Or, I'm not a pepper. Okay, I used to be a pepper when it was made of, when I was like 6. Okay, but so somebody's making up for me. 46 gallons of an acidic environment. Does this mean that wow, if cortisol is secreted under drinking soda, does that mean drinking soda can decrease thyroid function? Wow. Okay, so does that mean that anything you put in your body, if it changes the pH to an acidic level, that's going to cause more cortisol in the system? I know, isn't this cool? Okay, it's like detective work. So when we look at this more, these are the diseases of oxidation. And you might say, wait a second, there's high blood pressure, there's Parkinson's, there's COPD, there's Lou Gehrig's disease, there's MS, there's every disease that we're exposed to, okay, is in this. So if you have a breakdown of tissue or free radical oxidative stress, it's going to cause nearly every disease that we know. And if you start coupling this with weakening immune system, that means that even the bacterial diseases, okay, could be from chronic oxidative stress. Because what material does your adrenal glands create to deal with oxidative stress? Starts with a C. Cortisol. Oh my gosh, can you see this? This is the one source of all diseases. See, if I did a talk and I said disease doesn't exist, it's just the body adapting to oxidative stress and cortisol-mediated metabolic states, like I've been saying time and time and time again, then the solution isn't in covering up symptoms. The solution is in correcting the oxidative stress. It's called downstream doctors. I mean, if you go in and you find a problem, okay, that problem is just the symptoms. I just had a patient today. She came in and she said she coughed so hard that this muscle on her side, it starts burning. Okay, and she said, I just want you to adjust this rib. Okay, she couldn't move her neck about half as far. She's got this buffalo hump. She's standing like this. Okay, so I know that the nerves are pinched. I said, well, there's something unusual here. Most people can cough and they don't have burning pain radiating around their side. Okay, so I said, I want to take an x-ray. And she says, oh, no, I just want you to adjust it. I said, no, I don't do that kind of work. Let's find out why. But there are doctors out there that'll do that. See, there's doctors out there that if you have a headache, even though we know 97% of all headaches come from the neck, instead of taking an x-ray in the neck or assessing the neck, they're going to give you a drug. That's downstream doctors. They're not looking at the source of it. And then we look at the most expensive conditions in America. Because remember, the Obamacare is going to wipe out our medical system. Thank goodness, it needs to be cleaned up. Okay? And you start looking at these and thinking, wait a second, we're the most drug population the world's ever seen. How healthy are we? Heart disease, car accidents, okay, cancer, mental disorders. But then look at that on the right. Heart disease, 1 in 3 Americans? Can you imagine a herd of buffaloes that had 30% with heart conditions? No, that would be sick. Okay, 1 in 4 has mental disorders? No, they're not all politicians. Stop thinking that. Okay, 1 in 4 has diabetes? This is crazy. 1 in 3 has high blood pressure? 1 in 6 has high cholesterol? Wow. And we already know all of these are oxidative stress, or could be, or the body adapting to physical, chemical, and emotional stress. So these doctors that are prescribing these drugs for high cholesterol or diabetes or mental disorders, that's absolutely foolish because they're not looking at the source. It's a downstream doctor. It's the absolute end of America if we keep this up. So let's look at inflammation. Inflammation, we could reverse arthritis by causing inflammation, but that's acute. Chronic inflammation is what kills you. And chronic inflammation has the entire body that breaks down. Now, if you get cut, now I got cut on my hand, okay. It's kind of cool because if you cut your hand, even though you're adjusting a couple hundred people a day, it's going to eventually heal, right? Okay, have you ever been cut, ever broken a bone? Yeah, me too. Okay, it heals. There's actually a death called the death of 1,000 cuts. And this, they start cutting you, and eventually you get cut so much that you're cut beyond your body's ability to repair, and then you die. I know, I'm thinking that would be a really bad torture. You know, you get to 899. No, dude, just stop it. Okay, but I want you to think about that, because if you can exceed your body's ability to repair, okay, by a torturous death of 1,000 cuts, can you exceed your body's ability to repair by causing chronic inflammation, which is actually tissue being damaged? So if that's true, then chronic inflammatory states are actually the source of most diseases. Wow. So these people treating downstream diseases, treating the high blood pressure or high cholesterol, it's completely foolish because those diseases don't exist. So now let's look at oxidative stress, and this is super important. And I know we're talking about thyroid, but the thyroid is just the canary in the cage. It's not the problem. So let's look at oxidative stress. So now free radicals. You all remember the nucleus surrounded by the electrons, okay, and that's the atom, okay? Well, if it loses an electron, it becomes a free radical. It needs to attach to something. Now, antioxidants, okay, are fantastic. They have a tremendous number of extra electrons. So if you're taking something that breaks down tissue, like let's say you're smoking or eating polyunsaturated fats or genetically modified foods, or you have high stress, you're creating a lot of free radicals. That's okay. Also, just breaking down tissue creates free radicals. You know, I kill 1 billion cells a day. Cool, huh? So do you. Okay, but so that oxidative process is cell destruction. Every time you do it, you create free radicals. So if I wasn't taking in plant-based diet, my body would have to secrete cortisol, okay, which is an antioxidant. So now think of this. So if you don't have a plant-based diet, you're going to kill 1 billion cells a day just by standing here, not doing anything, okay? If you're not taking in antioxidants, your body's going to secrete cortisol, which is an antioxidant. And if cortisol is up, then the thyroid functions down. So how many people are misdiagnosed with a thyroid problem when it's just chronic oxidative stress? I know. Isn't this cool? It's like detective work. And then you look at this. I love this. This is out of a great journal, Rheumatology International. Fibromyalgia is oxidative stress. Wow. Is that why we have a 100% cure rate with it? Yeah. Is that why I wrote the book, How to Cure Fibromyalgia? Yeah. Okay, you can't say it doesn't exist, okay, because the symptoms are real. What you can see is if these people have muscle pain, joint pain, depression, poor digestion, okay, all of that. If you treat the muscle pain with a pain reliever, that's foolish. If you treat the depression with an antidepressant, that's ridiculous. If you treat the inflammation with an anti-inflammatory, again, that's downstream thinking. We're not even talking about the poisonous side effects. We have to look at the source of it. In conclusion, antioxidant balances were changed in fibromyalgia. Increased free radical levels may be responsible for the development of fibromyalgia. Wow. I know, isn't that cool? So does that mean we put people on fibromyalgia on a plant-based diet? with extra water. And then we handle the cortisol that's being secreted, because everyone in fibromyalgia is going to have a low-functioning thyroid. I know it doesn't show up on the blood test, okay, because they're not looking at the right stuff. This gal here, and I put sentence with fibromyalgia, because in the downstream medical world, the medical cartel says fibromyalgia is incurable. Okay, so this, we don't know what causes it. We absolutely don't know how to take care of you. We're going to drug you until you're comfortable, okay, and it's lifetime. You're going to die with it. There's no cure for it. Okay, however, there is cures for it. I mean, there she is after 9 months and no drugs. Why? Because we're explaining to her that that's downstream thinking. They're just taking care of the symptoms, and that it's illogical. It doesn't make sense. So then we go back, okay, because we got to build the base. We go back into how the nervous system works, and this is super important. This is why this is the 6th in our series on thyroid. Okay, it's this big. I mean, how much can you come up with talking about an organ that's this big? Okay, so remember, you got the hypothalamus. That's got sensors in the nervous system. That tells and checks and sees if we need more thyroid. Okay, so it tells the pituitary. Pituitary spits out thyroid-stimulating hormone. Thyroid-stimulating hormone stimulates what gland? Thyroid. That's what it's called, thyroid-stimulating hormone. I know, you know, it's like endocrinology made easy. Yeah, I'm messing with you. Okay, so you got the hypothalamus. That tells the pituitary. Pituitary spits out thyroid-stimulating hormone. Thyroid starts cranking out T3 and T4. T3 has 3 molecules of iodine. T4 has 4 molecules of iodine. Interesting, I had a patient that went to Oktoberfest in Germany on this Rhine River tour. When I'm able to take off, okay, more time when my son graduates, okay, I'm going to go on this tour. She said, you know, I ate the bread over there and I didn't have a reaction. You know, and I said, yeah, they don't have, you know, bromine in it. They actually use iodine to raise the bread, and they don't have genetically modified cows, and the grain isn't genetically modified. And she comes over here and she can't eat the stuff. Okay, so you got the hypothalamus telling the pituitary. Pituitary tells the thyroid. Thyroid produces T3 and T4 that has molecules, 3 molecules of iodine, 4 molecules of iodine. Now, if you're exposed to fluoride, if you're exposed to bromine, if you're exposed to chloride, the thyroid isn't going to work right, okay, because that's what it builds out of. Now, cortisol, if cortisol is secreted, it's going to interrupt that pituitary's communication with the thyroid. So cortisol stops TSH, slows it down. So any inflammatory response, any oxidative stress, that cortisol is going to be up, thyroid's going to be down. Okay, can you see this? Okay, I'm going to say this a couple of times because this is hugely important. We've got this balance. Okay, so let's look at it a little bit different. What causes oxidative stress in the body? Well, estrogen. Okay, we're talking liver toxicity, fluoride, pesticides, stress, toxic food, medications. Inflammation, more stress, tissue damage, vaccinations, toxic foods. What I'm doing, I'm reading what raises cortisol. That also causes oxidative stress. What lowers thyroid also causes oxidative stress. So it sounds almost too simple, but what if, instead of the oxidative stress, what if we solve this? What's solving it? Vegetables, healthy water. Why? Because vegetables are antioxidants. They're loaded with antioxidants. Water actually hydrates and removes the system. So if you're creating free radicals from building the billion cells a day, or you're having systemic inflammatory responses from toxic foods, and you take in more plants, more antioxidants, your adrenals don't need to make that antioxidant of cortisol. So it can't be that simple. You can't just have a plant-based diet and water, you know, and then we could get rid of all the medications and reverse all the diseases. Wow, I wonder if it is that simple. Okay, so let's look at this. Now, depression, lupus, migraines, MS, Lou Gehrig's disease, okay, all have increased production of cortisol. Why? Because they're all inflammatory diseases. Osteoporosis is an inflammatory autoimmune disease. MS is an inflammatory autoimmune disease. Inflammation, the body's going to secrete an anti-inflammatory. What's that called? Cortisol. Okay. Can you start seeing this? So you get people taking medications for lupus or MS or these diseases, and they're not saying, wow, we've got to get you on a plant-based diet. We got to get you, it's an inflammatory process. We got to give you the anti-inflammatories of the antioxidants. Does that make more sense? It does. It does. It's just brilliant. But then remember, we're the sickest society the world's ever seen. I'm going to do a talk in January on the 6th mass extinction event. We're actually in that now. And unless our population wakes up, we're done. From 1950 to now, 90% of the world's large fish populations are gone. Okay, we've got 30 more years. The planet's done. Okay, so we need to change this downstream thinking. Decreased bone density. What's that called? Osteoporosis. Okay, then you look at this. Blood sugar imbalances. What's that called? Diabetes. Oh my gosh. Okay, impaired cognitive performance. What's that called? Dementia, Alzheimer's. So this is what our population's suffering from. These diseases don't exist, okay? It's just high prolonged oxidative stress, high prolonged cortisol, high prolonged inflammation. Does that make more sense? Okay, this is why we're seeing people with Alzheimer's being treated with coconut oil. Okay, you know, that works. So what causes it? Alcohol, drugs, food. Those are all inflammatory items that are introduced in the body. And the medical cartel isn't getting it. Okay, they're looking at a blood test. The blood test will show normal until 90% of the adrenal glands are destroyed. They can't find it. They're not looking in the right place. Heck, they're not taught nutrition. They're not taught, wow, you have elevations in blood pressure because you're under some type of stress. No, they're saying you got some weird disease. Just had a patient who's got polycystic kidney disease. Okay, that means the kidney that's the size of a fist has multiple cysts all over it. Now, since there's enough surface area inside of the kidney to filter 6 quarts of blood every 20 minutes, I mean, we're talking millions of little tiny tubules. If you wipe out some of those tubules and you got to filter the same amount of blood, guess what has to happen to blood pressure to adapt? Blood pressure has to do what? It has to go up. This is common sense. So can you compare someone's blood pressure who has polycystic kidney disease to somebody who doesn't have polycystic kidney disease? Okay, what are the downstream doctors going to say? No, it's surgery or the blood pressure problem. Okay, let's give them a diuretic, beta blocker, ACE inhibitor, something to chemically slow their blood pressure down. Does that help filtration or hurt it? Does that put more stress on the body? Yeah, and I just answered the question. And you got the medical cartel that says, no, we have to lower pressure because the kidneys just can't stand it. Really? I'm at the gym, I'm lifting. I just did this one of our patients who was going to have a knee replacement, canceled the operation, and he was all excited because he actually lifted 550 pounds on his knees. What do you think his blood pressure was like? Very high. Do they have kidney warnings on blood pressure on weight machines? No, that's stupid. Okay. Okay, so when we look at this, the glucocorticosteroids, the mineralocorticosteroids, sex hormones, virtually everything that your adrenals make, they make it out of cortisol, or they make it out of cholesterol. Cholesterol is the precursor to everything. This means your body's ability to protect from cancer is cholesterol. That's the precursor. Your body's ability to adapt to stress, cholesterol. Your body's ability to adapt to oxidative stress, cholesterol. Your body's ability to fight systemic inflammation, cholesterol. So is that why that we have oxidative stress, we have tissue damage, we have inflammation? Is that why our population has higher levels of cholesterol? You know, everyone's saying, oh doc, I got high cholesterol, should I take this red yeast rice? It lowers cholesterol. Well, you can, but why would it lower it? And they look at me like incredulous, like, what do you mean? I said, well, does it help tissue repair? Does it help the inflammatory process? Does it help eliminate the free radicals? Go on a plant-based diet. A couple blueberries a day is going to lower cholesterol. Why? Because it causes inflammation. It's antioxidants, okay? It helps with systemic inflammation. Then your body doesn't need to create as much cortisol. Can you see that? It's like beyond simple. T3 and T4. If this is how a normal functioning thyroid works, we need to have this produced. But each molecule We're talking 99% of the T3 and T4. It's bound to thyroid binding globulin. Estrogen will also bind to that. So if estrogen is excess in the system, you're going to have a low functioning thyroid. Low functioning thyroid, high functioning cortisol or high cortisol. Your body builds 1 billion cells a day. Skin's 28 days old. Blood's 120 days old. Bones are about a year to 14 months old. So I just showed this one patient, 72 years old. She's been with me 3 years. We're looking at a bone spur that was about 3/16 long. Now it's about 1/16 of an inch long, almost gone. We're looking at discs that are doubling in size in her neck and her low back. We're looking at reversal and regeneration of tissue. No, that's not the reaction I'm looking for. Regeneration of tissue. Okay, good. Okay, thank you. And so what's cool is she's building cells. Now all we're doing, we're just building cells, but in the right place. That's because we're causing local inflammation in the right way, because we're telling her to modify her diet so she doesn't have that. This right here, we know that soda is extremely acidic. What on these shelves has an antioxidant in it? Nothing. What on the shelves will cause a systemic inflammatory response? Everything. Okay, what's going to raise cortisol? Everything. If a population ate this stuff, oh my gosh, you'd have 1/3 of them with heart disease. You'd have 1 in 6, okay, with 1 in 4 mental disorders. You'd have 50% cancer rates. You don't want to eat this stuff, particularly in America. Okay, yeah, that's okay. Obamacare will be successful when they go to the supermarkets, clean out the shelves, and feed it. No, you can't feed it to a dog. Politicians. Oh, good. Yeah, maybe we should just do chemtrails over their little building up there. Okay. Now people are going to say, because there's some still stuck in the mud quacks, okay, that don't understand that if you eat food, okay, you digest it. And they're absolutely right. They're saying if you eat meat, it comes out about 2 to 3 pH. If you eat vegetables, it comes out about 2 to 3 pH. It's the same. However, the residue of animal products, and I'm not talking genetically modified, hormone-laden, toxic, filler, McDonald's burgers, okay? Any animal products, the residues are acidic. That means after the digestive process, the residues of plants are alkaline. If you have any residues of acid, what's your best alkalinizing substance that's manufactured by your kidneys, your adrenals? It's called cortisol. So does that mean every animal product is going to raise cortisol, and that's going to decrease animal products? So does that, or decrease thyroid function? So does this mean the paleo diet, which is actually a misnomer if you start looking at the research behind the Neanderthals and behind actual, Paleonthic men, they ate grains. Okay, they ate a lot of grains. Barley, cooked barley, we're finding it in Neanderthals' teeth now. So this is the American diet approved by the Fraud and Deception Association. I mean, the Food and Drug Administration, my bad. They're protecting our food supply. Okay, omega-6 to 3 ratio should be 1 to 1. Okay, and that's the best. You could have 3 to 1 and still have healthy food. Disease starts at 8 to 1. American diet is 20 to 1. 20 to 1.
Oh my gosh.
I know. You're thinking, no, because if people ate that, we'd have 30% with heart disease. We'd have, we'd be spending like $307 billion on drugs for symptoms, for toxic, deficient lifestyles that only work less than half of the time. We fire the doctors. If a doctor's suggesting a medication, okay, then and not suggesting why your body requires it, he needs to be fired. They start when we see white jackets holding cardboard things we'll prescribe for food. Okay, that's cool. Okay, soybean, cottonseed, these oils here are ridiculously sick. As much as 200 to 1? You can't feed this stuff to an animal, particularly humans. I mean, that's horrible. Blood does not clot in the arteries. Blood does clump in the arteries. Polyunsaturated fats. I'm sorry. What are polyunsaturated fats? Soybean, sunflower, corn, canola, grape. Okay, polyunsaturated fats. They will literally cause blood vessels to clump together. If you're familiar with earthing, okay, this is just getting feet in direct contact with the earth, or skin and earth contact. It has an antioxidant effect where it separates the blood. So this doesn't mean that you require a blood thinner. This requires you need healthier blood. Does that make sense? Yeah, so healthy blood. It's replaced every 120 days. I mean, brand new, 6 quarts of blood, you know? And so you start building red blood cells. Okay, so how do you take care of this? You get healthy nutrients. It's called a plant-based diet. And the red blood cells, more water, less medications, less toxic food, and you get healthier blood. We have a letter, okay, because a lot of people taking blood thinners, they're told by their doctor, stay away from dark green leafy vegetables. Okay. I know you're thinking this is crazy. Okay. Well, because in the dark green leafies, there's vitamin K, and vitamin K is involved in blood clotting. Okay, well, do you want to know the ridiculous, like, bro science behind this stuff? Okay, yeah, bro science means that it's just ridiculous. Okay, it's one guy connecting to another. My car's red, so it must drive faster than your dark-colored car, because it's a faster vibrating color. See, I'm based in science. Okay, now this is the craziness, okay? In the clotting pathway, you need vitamin K to initiate it, but you also need oxygen, you need histamines, you need tissue damage. So it is involved in healing. It's not involved in clumping blood vessels in the arteries. Okay, that doesn't make sense. You don't see a lot of vegetarians, you know, don't eat that broccoli. It clots arteries. Yeah, it sounds stupid just to me say it. Okay, so what you have to do, since a lot of people, you know, we're talking 25% of America's, no, 18% are taking blood thinners. You have to communicate to the doctors that have absolutely no training in nutrition. Okay, and what you do is I have a sheet that explains vitamin K is not, okay, going to clump my blood vessels together. It is involved in a healing process if I cut myself. I mean, really. And then you get off of the blood thinners and, you know.
So they're really saying don't eat dark leafy?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, they do.
Yes, ma'am. They really do say don't eat dark green leafy vegetables. Okay. I know. But this is the sickest society the world's ever seen. We are going to turn this around. This right here. Can you imagine putting chemicals in meat, chemicals in skin products, chemicals in hair products, chemicals in plastic, and these chemicals are xenoestrogens, where they create estrogen. Wait a second, remember that? The thyroid, 99% is bound to thyroid binding globulin, and estrogens block that. So if that blocks that, that means the thyroid can't produce it. If the thyroid can't produce it, then what goes higher? Cortisol. So does that mean that all of those oxidative stress, the cortisol-mediated metabolic states, okay, such as migraines, mood swings, higher rate of stroke, heart disease, everything else, could be caused by toxic food products? Yes or yes? Yes. I know, it just makes so much sense. This guy here, lung problems, after no lung problems. Lung problems, okay, it's not a problem with the lungs. So was he taking steroids? Absolutely. Steroids, sympathetic stimulant, damaging it, causing elevations in cortisol. What did that do to his thyroid? Decreased it. What's his risk of high blood pressure, heart disease, heart attack, stroke, and everything else? Okay, yeah, it's the same thing. It doesn't make sense. Those are downstream doctors. The next time someone has asthma, they have to go in and the guy's going to say, wow, you know, you're 56 years old, your lungs have worked for half a century, and now you're having difficulty in breathing. Here, take this steroid. Oh, you're 54 years old, okay? You now have high blood pressure, okay? And my machine is telling me you have high blood pressure. I know you feel good, but you can't feel good, okay? Because you see, your blood pressure is supposed to be in this narrow range here. If it's not, then I'm going to give you a drug. Okay. Doc, what's broken in my body? Why has it worked for half a century? Okay, why would my blood pressure go up? Can't you give me a sheet of the number of different things that's going to elevate my blood pressure? How long do I got to be on this drug? Okay, is there something I can fix? Okay, is my blood getting too thick? Okay, so that we got to start taking our health back. We can't accept this stuff. Okay, either I get a white jacket and start scaring people. Okay, which I'm not going to do because that's just mean. Okay, I'm not going to yell. Okay, I'm not going to. That's just mean. Okay, but you change it. Okay, does that make sense? We question it. The quality of your life depends on the quality of questions you ask. I mean, this right here, it seems too simple, but remember, we're talking virtually every disease is from oxidative stress. So why would drinking more healthy water help? Because that has an anti-inflammatory effect. It decreases it. Why would eating more vegetables? And why organic? Because it's not pesticide laden, which is mainly based in estrogens, okay, which decrease the thyroid. Decreases the thyroid, it increases cortisol, it increases, okay, have I done that circle enough? And then you look at this, I mean, eliminate refined foods. Of course, those are all inflammatory. Eliminate processed foods and enriched foods because those are, again, they're inflammatory foods. They're dangerous, toxic foods that cause an inflammation, that cause an elevation in cortisol, that causes a decreased thyroid function, that causes the adaptive diseases. We should call them adaptive diseases like MS, Lou Gehrig's, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, depression, and anxiety. Eliminate virtually every food on the shelf, okay? We need to fire the politicians that are approving it. Okay, there's many countries in Europe that have now banned genetically modified foods, but they're concerned with the health of the population. We're concerned with the Medicare drug bill so that our government pays for the drugs for our sick people. Okay, instead of, that's a little downstream, okay? This is actually antioxidants. Okay, phytonutrients. Okay, these plants have been around for thousands and thousands of years, or millions of years, okay, and they've developed antibacterial, antimicrobial properties. I mean, root vegetables, think how cool this is. They're in the ground, they're exposed to bacteria and funguses, and they develop their own antifungal properties. So a raw carrot salad is fantastic for healing the gut. I mean, it makes so much more sense to eat like this. This is actually what your body requires. And I know I put this up before, but I mean, you need healthy nerve supply because that's what controls everything. Exercise. Just park far in the parking lot and walk a half hour a day. Why? Because walking, that moves lymph, it allows you to breathe correctly. You get rid of those free radicals. You take in more oxygen. I mean, so it's going to decrease cortisol. Proper nutrition. That's like a no-brainer, man. I mean, just plant-based, more water. It's super simple. Sufficient rest and prayer and meditation. Do you realize that you can lower your cortisol levels just by listening to string music and deep breathing? Okay, I'm not even talking about a positive mental attitude that you're going to get from praying. And that's pretty cool. Now, all of these are recorded. You play it back at half speed, because I know I talk too fast. This is the 6th one. Everybody that's our current patient gets this site for free. Okay? Everybody that's watching on YouTube gets it for 7 days. And that means that all of the handouts are available to everyone throughout the world. So when we talk about natural pain relievers, okay, and natural antibiotics, this handout is available from around the world. When we talk about this handout that shows anything you do that's going to either make you healthier or make you sicker, food choices and everything, it's all available around the world.